Hey, this is Tola. In this video, I'm going to be answering the question, what is design thinking? So let's get right into it. What is design thinking? Design thinking is an approach to problem solving. This approach can be adopted across various professions and problem types. So, what sort of occupations require design thinking? Well, marketing managers, executives, industrial engineers, graphic designers, software developers, general and operations managers, management analysts, personal service managers. I don't know what that is. Architectural and engineering managers, computer and information systems managers. So what makes design thinking so peculiar? Well, at the heart of design thinking is the focus on the people the solution is created for. So it's a human-centric approach to problem solving. So, the design thinking process. According to Harvard, the design thinking process can be broken down into 4 different steps. There's the clarify stage, the ideate stage, the development stage, and the implement stage. I'm not a fan of that process per se, just because it's overly simplistic. So let me take you through the 5-step process that I think works better. You have the empathy stage, the define stage, the ideate stage, the prototype stage, and finally the testing stage. So why do I say that the Harvard process is overly simplistic? Primarily because of the word clarify. It's too vague and doesn't really clarify. It's not really clear what that means. Clarify what exactly. With the 5-step process, the empathy and define stage offers better elaboration. So, let's see why that is. So what does it mean to have empathy? Well, within the design process, it's probably the most important thing you can do. By empathizing, it means that you're putting yourself in your user's shoes, you're asking them questions, you're observing them, just to get a better sense of what the experience is. So you've empathized with your user. What do you do now? Well, based on all your observations and all the questions you've asked, you now define what the problem is. That is, you come up with a problem statement. Once you have established what the problem is, you start to come up with different ideas. Definitely more than one idea. You brainstorm, you storyboard, you have brainstorming sessions. And you come up with a bunch of ideas that could be applicable to the problem. So you have your idea. What do you do with it? Well, you need to prototype it. That's the 4th step. You come up with a prototype that can be used to test out your ideas for your customer. So now you have your prototype. What do you do with it? Well, you test it. You go to your customers and you let them try it out and you let them feedback what they like about it, what they don't like about it, and you're ultimately able to evaluate whether it works or not. So here's a case study that illustrates the design thinking process. Meet Tom the caveman. So what's his situation? He likes to cave paint. And anytime he does a painting, he's really excited and he runs up to the other cave to tell his friends. And then they all run back to his cave, and that process takes approximately 5 minutes to run from one cave to the other. Once he gets back with his friends, the painting is gone. So his painting disappears after 5 minutes. That is what is going on. So his friends are never able to see his cave paintings. So that's our scenario. Tom is not able to share his cave paintings with his friends. So we go, why is that? Is it because someone goes there to erase it? Is it because his wall is damp? It's a cave, so probably. Is he using the right materials? So you try to figure out where the problem is just based on investigation. You empathize. Basically, you observe and you look at what's going on. And you go, hey, Tom, what sort of materials do you use? And he goes, oh, I use clay and water. And we define our problem. We go, Tom is not using the right materials. Yeah, that's Tom, and that's clay and water. It's very, very apt. So now that we've defined the problem, we go to the ideate stage. We now know that Tom does not use the right materials. He uses clay and water, which isn't very effective. So what sort of ideas can we come up with? We can create a blade for him that's not too sharp. We can add a leaf to his ingredients. So clay, leaves, and water. But it turns out that he might be allergic to whatever's in this leaf, or in all the leaves. So it's an idea. Or we could just give him acrylic and a paintbrush, but it's 10,000 BC and it hasn't been invented yet. And we're not likely to, because it's 10,000 BC. So we decide to go with a blade that's not too sharp. We then move on to our prototyping stage. We don't want anything that's too sharp. We want something that's easy to hold, as you can see, very grip easy. Nothing that's too long, it has to serve the purpose. Again, nothing that's too sharp, it has to be able to cut through the cave wall, but nothing that can be used for any alternative purpose. So we have some prototypes in place. So we've chosen a prototype and we test it. And Tom, as you can see there, still kind of happy, is even more happy because it works. Tom is now using the right tool. So in reality, you find that it's never really that straightforward. You test out the prototype and Tom goes, I don't like blades, I don't care how sharp or blunt it is, I need something different. So you go back to the ideate stage and you try to come up with something different. You prototype it, you test it. Again, Tom isn't quite happy with what you come up with, so you might need to empathize with Tom in terms of what he might find useful, what he might feel comfortable using, and you go through the entire process again. Hence why I've drawn these arrows here, just to illustrate the fact that it's a very dynamic process. It's not singularly linear. You might get stuck going back and forth within these two stages. You might have to go all the way back to empathy. You might have to redefine what the problem is. But these 5 stages are fundamental to the design thinking process. So thanks to Tom, you now understand what the design thinking process is. Then ask yourself, what are the top hard skills that can make me indispensable within the design thinking process? Well, you have wireframing, which is akin to prototyping. UX design, you can get a degree in UX design, which is also called user experience design. You can create delightful, useful, practical, novel experiences for your customers. Storyboarding, this is more applicable within the ideate stage, depending on what you're trying to create. And usually you storyboard to map out the customer journey. Software engineering, again, if you're creating an app, you're creating a website, something quite technical, then you might need to learn how to software engineer, otherwise code, so that your user can test out the solution if you want them to have a better feel of what you're trying to create. So what are the takeaways? Design thinking is a versatile problem-solving approach. It's versatile because it's applicable across industries and occupation types. Creating a problem statement is fundamental to guiding your solution. Design thinking enables novel ideas. But remember, they have to be valid and useful. Ultimately, you want to solve your problem. The design thinking process is dynamic and not singular in its linearity. So hopefully you now understand what design thinking is. You understand what the design process is and the sort of skills that you can use within the design thinking process. If you found this video useful, please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll catch you next time.